Alright guys, today we're going to go over ancillary or accessory exercises for bench press, and I intentionally did not do the warm-ups for the squat video I did, and that was a mistake. That's a vital part. I was doing it for time, and I'm including it on this one. So these are YTWs. Right now I'm on the W portion of it, and you want to do these because they help with the integrity of your rotator cuff and also your thoracic back, both of which are very important if you're and critical not only for bench but also for your squat. So warm up, YTWs. Get a super band, get some tubing, do about 10 reps each way. Check it out like this. Line up the camera kind of in the middle. Make sure you're doing them evenly on each side, and you'll be good to go. Warm them up. Keep those shoulders healthy. All right, the next one we're going to do is one that I developed over time. I call them banded unrack pulls. And so this is the very first set I did. Maybe I had in a couple different locations. You can see it's slightly below the bench, but mainly directly back on the power rack. And the reason why I started doing this exercise is I wanted to keep tighter in my lats. So I didn't have anybody to help me unrack the weight for meets, and being more specific, almost as if it was sport specific, I wanted to secure the weight, engage my lats, to stabilize the bar, but also take stress off of my rotator cuff muscles. So I had previous injuries, pretty beat up shoulders going into powerlifting from sports, like I played a lot of baseball when I was younger, and also wrestling. So it can be pretty hard on your shoulders too. So I managed to do a good enough job that by the time I got to stem cells, about halfway through competing, I ended up doing just fine. So watch this one right here. You really see how my lats are engaged when I finally pull it in tight. So that was the whole point. So watch right underneath my armpits here, guys. You'll see it pull in. As soon as I engage that, that's what you want. You want to be really secure through there. The lats are engaged the whole time. I was actually playing with it a little bit, trying to get them engaged a little bit more. Sometimes I would, once I got comfortable with the exercise, I would actually move out farther from the rack a little bit so that I would get tighter. I noticed the farther I would be able to pull it out, the tighter I could get up on the rack without extending too much through my lower back, because that's not what you want. You just want thoracic back extension. So secure that bar, keep your rotator cuff muscles safe. Oh, and here it is. This is one of my favorite accessory movements for bench. The reason why I like the dumbbell tricep extension so much is, one, you have a weight on each side, so you can't use the dominant side so much, and you can see how everything's engaged there. You can see how it replicates a competition bench, like the arch that you want in your thoracic back, and so you gain some muscular endurance as you're working your triceps, which is going to help you lock out the bench. So I really like this one a lot for a lot of reasons. So I would do a lot of sets of these deep into my training towards a meet, because it was so specific to competition bench, I found. So there are a lot of things you can do for triceps, but if you really want to improve your bench, this one's solid. And I even think one time David Tate had talked about it too. Like this is one of his favorites for bench press. So that is dumbbell tricep extensions, and you guys can see it's kind of cool. When I was getting leaner, you can see everything contracting, but that's how you want to set up. If you want a high bench, I don't have a whole lot of mass to hold me up, so unfortunately I have a pretty big back, but I also have kind of long arms for a 132, or I did. So moving on to reactive slingshot. I never used anything more than a reactive slingshot. Reactive slingshot gives you about 5 to 10% at the most, and it's good for decompressing on the bottom, also working on your lockout. So if you ever used a slingshot, guys, what happens is it takes more off the bottom because the slingshot is stretching more across your arms. And as you press it up, you feel more of the weight. So it'll take off about 5, maybe 10% if it's super, super tight on you. But it's probably more like 5 to 7% off of the bottom. So you can really work on your lockout at the top, which is usually where people get stuck, especially someone like me. I'm not a sink and heave guy. I'm more of a touch and press guy. Like I hold it still. So that's one really good thing about the Reactive Slingshot. I really liked it for that reason. So, and then you have to unrack it and really stabilize the bar too. So you get a little practice using something really, really heavy. This is 330, which I never actually did in the meet at 132, but at least I got a little practice like stabilizing that much weight at the top, because it really doesn't do much at the top. Now these are ones that I kind of made up based off of something I had watched or listened to with Brandon Lilly. He's a pretty good power lifter. And so what I'm doing here, guys, is I full extend on the second rep. On the first rep, I only go about half to 3/4 of the way up and then go down. So I'm actually working the bottom portion of the lift a little bit more. And unfortunately, that's the only one I could find that I recorded. I call those Lilly Presses. And then the next one, feet up bench. I would never do necessarily a Larsen press. That's one where you see your legs completely straight out. I would do this mainly for working thoracic extension, keeping my chest up, working balance, really controlling the weight, contracting my lats, but also to somewhat decompress my lower back while I was doing all the squat training, especially low bar, but also all the deadlifting. So when you're combining all these lifts, trying to peak for a meet where you're doing all these lifts, like it's just inevitable that your lower back's going to be really. It doesn't have to be sore, but you're constantly working it and having to engage it. So all that weight driving through there. So you have to kind of, as much as possible, take some weight off it occasionally. And so I got really good at using the feet up bench. All right, some things that you might want to do in the off season. Okay, work your back, especially your mid back. So this is I had a schedule, but I would do a lot of this obviously for deadlift guys. You can see it, so I could stabilize the bar. So the thicker your back, less you have to press that bar. The other thing is I'd work my triceps a lot as well, build in size. Switch it up from the dumbbell presses. Those are great, but it's better to mix it up so you don't hurt anything. Some other things you might want to try in the off season are you want to do Larsen presses. Try those. That's where your legs are straight out. Overhead presses. That's pretty self-explanatory. And unracking holds, where you're unracking a lot of weight. Make sure you have someone there to help you do that, and then just hold it for 5 seconds, then put it back up. You'll feel goofy doing it the first time, but over time, you'll find that you'll be able to stabilize more weight at the top and not panic when you're holding up like you're trying to do a max. So I hope you guys like the video. I'll be coming up with some very, very shortly, some other ones. If you like the video, give it a like. You can subscribe. But most important, guys, if there's something that I left out or something that you want me to talk about next, let me know that in the bottom in the comments, okay? That helps me the most. Let me know how I can help you the most, all right? And I'll do my best to get to it. So I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.